speaker and the next breakout session that we're going to have is with Jessica Petrolia. She is the chair of Rhode Island Farm to School Network and the coordinator of a child nutrition program, the child nutrition program at Rhode Island Department of Education. You can't teach our kids young enough about the opportunity to work within the food system. We will hear from Jessica about growing the farm to school movement in Rhode Island. Welcome, Jessica.
Thanks, Catherine. Good morning, everyone. So again, my name is Jessica Petrolia. I'm the coordinator of the federally funded child nutrition programs that are administered out of the Rhode Island Department of Education and also the chair of Rhode Island's Farm to School Network. And I'm here today to give you an overview of our upcoming Food System Summit follow-on session, which will focus on providing local food for local kids and understanding the farm to school market. As Ken mentioned earlier, we anticipate holding this session in partnership with the session hosted by Ken and Julie in March at Farm Fresh, Rhode Island, but stay tuned, more details are to come on that. Over the past few years, the United States Department of Agriculture has affirmed its commitment to building a more resilient food system rooted in local and regional food production through its food system transformation framework. If you've been listening in all morning, you heard both Senator Reid and our Director of Food Strategy, Julie Stelmazik, talk about how federal and local priorities are already transforming the local food system, but you also know that there's still work to be done. The goal of the Federal Food System Transformation Framework include building a more resilient food supply chain that provides more and better market opportunities for consumers and producers while reducing carbon pollution, creating a fairer food system that combats market dominance and helps producers and consumers gain more power in the marketplace by creating new, more, and better local market options, making nutritious food more accessible and affordable for consumers, and emphasizing equity. The federally funded child nutrition programs, which include the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs, are an important component of this work as they represent a crucial nutrition access point for families, serving an average of over 66,000 students per day across our state. Incorporating farm to school initiatives into these programs is one strategy for building strong schools and just food systems. Farm to school enriches the connections that communities have with fresh, healthy food and local food producers by changing food purchasing and education practices at school. Farm to school provides students with access to healthy local foods as well as educational opportunities such as school gardens, cooking lessons, and farm field trips. And Farm to School strengthens local food systems and supports vibrant communities by building relationships between large purchasers like schools and agricultural producers. Procurement of local foods not only provides students access to healthier school meals, but it can advance income generation and access to land ownership for marginalized food producers. In Rhode Island, all public schools are required to offer meals under the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs, and an increasing number of schools are sourcing locally grown foods for their school meals and snacks. Pre-pandemic, these federally funded school nutrition programs brought in just about $62 million in revenue, $42 million of which represents federal funding coming into the state. Not accounting for the recent rise in inflation, most school nutrition budgets allow for food costs that represents about 30% of overall revenue, which means that of the $62 million in revenue, up to $18.6 million is spent directly on food. If you're a producer or a food manufacturer, large or small, this means that there are market opportunities in your own backyard and a chance for your bounty to nourish children in your community. Strengthening relationships between local producers and schools is a long-term strategy to ensure our children always have access to nutritious foods in school, a win-win for both child health and local agriculture. Our upcoming follow-on session, which will be hosted by the Rhode Island Farm to School Network and facilitated by our farmer and producer community of practice, will be geared specifically towards farmers, fishers, and local food makers looking to learn about how they can play a role in supplying local products to schools and the opportunities for educating students about local food and agriculture in schools. You'll be able to hear from a panel of your peers and share your experiences, good or bad, as they relate to farm to school. This session will also provide an opportunity for networking and resource sharing, and the information gathered during the session will be used to inform the priorities and strategic planning of the Rhode Island Farm to School Network. We hope to see you there, and for anyone who hasn't already, please visit us at rhodeislandfarmtoschool.org to sign up for the network and stay informed about our work and our upcoming events. We do have a few minutes left now, so I'd be happy to answer any questions from the audience if there are any at this time. Okay, so the first question, do all school districts in Rhode Island have a farm to school program? I think one important thing to think about for farm to school is that there are three pillars that we focus on. There's procurement, education, and gardens. So not all school districts would likely respond to say that they have a farm to school program, but almost universally schools are doing one of those three things. They're either in some way incorporating local ag education into their curriculum through lesson planning or site visits. They may be having an edible school garden that they tend with their students and incorporate into lesson planning. And most, if not all, are also participating in the purchasing of local foods that get served in the cafeterias. So it's hard to quantify. We do have a farm to school census. It doesn't represent responses from 100% of the state, so I can't say for certain, but I would say it's more likely that schools are engaging in farm to school than that they're not. Do any schools provide agricultural job training in high school? So there's definitely opportunity for schools to be providing food system education in a variety of ways. We do have high quality curriculum standards in the state that dictate, the different subject matter that's taught, but there's opportunities for lesson planning within that. And there are some great examples within the state of incorporating like ag education into those quality curriculum standards. And we do also have a vibrant career and tech um, system within the state that offers opportunity for culinary training. So I think it kind of depends on what aspect of farm to school that you're speaking about or what aspect of the agricultural system, but there's opportunity for education, I think, across curriculum and across our schools for incorporation there. And how can my child's school get involved? So there's a variety of ways. Number one would be to go back to the Rhode Island Farm to School Network.org website that I mentioned earlier and sign up for the network. There you can join an action committee, which is kind of the bodies that drive the work of the network, or a community of practice where you can just network with peers and understand more about their experiences in farm to school. It's also a great opportunity if you can get involved with your school's wellness committee. Schools in Rhode Island are required by state law to have a wellness committee where oftentimes farm to school work is driven. So that would be a great way to kind of get a beat on what they're doing and where you maybe could increase their farm to school efforts. And of course, you're always welcome to go to the Rhode Island Department of Education website. It's ride.ri.gov, and you can contact me, and I'm happy to connect you with anyone in your school or any resources for farm to school. Okay. Has there been any exploration into private and charter school involvements into farm to school initiatives? So again, many of the schools are already participating in farm to school, and they certainly have the opportunity. Out of my department, we manage those federally funded child nutrition programs, and all of the public charter schools do participate. So they certainly have the opportunity to get support from my department. And many of the private schools do as well. There are some constraints around the actual procurement of local food for those schools because of the relationship that they have with their vendor and how small they are and who they can attract. But in many cases, our charter schools are often serviced by a larger public school that's already participating in farm to school. So they're benefiting from those local purchases regardless. And those are also great places because our charter school communities are usually so vibrant and engaged, where there are usually very successful school gardens and parent engagement that can help move those activities forward. So there's already some movement there, but we always welcome more voices in the farm to school space for sure. Okay.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Such interesting information, and we look forward to your breakout session.